Hi, my name is Pedro Jones. I used to work for Colonial Williamsburg back in the 70s as security officer. Our job was to check buildings at night once they're secured and make sure there's no open doors or candlesticks left burning the building. One night I was checking the Peyton Randolph House, and the house is a two-story house with a basement, kitchen with off to the side. Most times the security enter the building through the back door. Once you go in the back door, to your right there were some steps going down to the basement. To your left, we're going upstairs and to the other part of the house. I entered the house and I went upstairs. I checked the upstairs to make sure everything was secured. After that, I went down into the basement to check the basement. Once I was down there, I was looking at a magazine on the table. I got halfway back up the steps and I realized I left the light on. So I turned around, went back into the basement and turned the light off. About halfway up the steps, I heard a noise like a loud moaning, groaning sound. My feet like froze to the steps. I couldn't move. I just could move my body. At that time, I actually pulled my gun because I thought somebody was in the building with me. But I realized there wasn't no one there but me, so I put my gun back. I didn't want to shoot myself. So I put my gun back in the holster, and I still couldn't move my feet. So I got on the radio, and I called for someone to come over. About 3 or 4 minutes, one of the lieutenants came over, and I still couldn't move. And once he knocked on the door, my feet just released. I could move my feet. I ran up the steps, opened the door. He was standing at the door. When I opened the door, he looked at me. He stepped back. He said, "Oh, white as snow." So we searched the house, couldn't find nothing. The house was secured. We locked the house. We did that, and we had other people come over to check the house with us. They couldn't find anything wrong with the house, and we secured the building. And it took me a long, long time to go back into that house. I mean, it took me like 3 or 4 weeks to a month before I even walked in the house. I searched the house from the outside, but not from the inside. There were stories going around. We had a secretary named Mrs. DeVersa. She used to be our secretary at the office. We'd get a call from her maybe 2, 3 times a month that she heard a baby crying in the wall. And we go there, 2 or 3 officers goes over there every night when she calls. We search the house top to bottom, basement, every room. We listened, couldn't hear anything. We just couldn't find anything in the house whatsoever. But she was adamant that something was in the house. The baby was crying. I know they had sent people there to check this out to make sure there was nothing in the wall. I think even in my experience from the previous day, they sent people to x-ray machines or something to check the house out to make sure nothing in the wall. But by it being rice paper on the wall, they didn't want to tear the wall apart to look for anything until they had some kind of good information that someone was buried in the wall. And I don't think they ever found anything in the wall, not my knowing. So I don't know how true that was or not, but she was really adamant about baby crying. And like I said, she was really a good lady, so we had no reason not to believe her, what she was telling us. Okay. The Brush Everett House was located, if you're looking at the palace, government palace, was located to the right. One of the housekeepers used to work there in the morning, used to come in and clean the building. And one day we got a call saying a lady in a colonial type dress was in the building and she wasn't comfortable with that. And this happened more than one time with her. The woman came to the back door and the lady was cleaning, and she turned around and saw the lady in a colonial type dress and told the lady that the building wasn't open yet. So the lady stood there for a couple of seconds, turned around and walked through the door, without opening the door, walked out of the building. She described the lady to people who worked for Colonial Williamsburg that she had a colonial type dress with some type of blood stain on her dress. Well, in order to believe her, she told everyone about the blood stain. So they went to the Goodwin building up in the attic where they keep the colonial dresses at, and they opened this box up, and the box had the same dress she described with the blood stain on the dress that the lady described. To the right of the front door, the right of the rear door, there was a carving of a ship that this lady supposed to, her boyfriend or husband, put that carve on the glass, and I think it's still there, carved on the glass when he went out to sea, and he committed suicide, or he died at sea, and I think that's why she come back every night or whenever she come back to see him that come to the house. And I think that's the only thing she had to remember him by, with the carving on the window of the ship that she drawn on the carved on the glass. A lot of people had mentioned that to me who worked for Colonial Williamsburg at that time, especially when this lady quit. Another lady came to work there, and she said she experienced the same thing. And I think she also quit or either went to another building. When her husband didn't return, the blood stain on her dress kind of indicated that she committed suicide or killed herself because she was so in love with him. So that's the only thing she had to remember by, but coming to the brush house to see, I guess that's the only place the last remember each other at. I don't know the whole story on that one, but she did come back, and she on the furthest she end of the building was in the back door, 2 or 3 steps inside the house, and she always exited the same way. And the housekeeper was positive, but she told me that the door was locked because she didn't want anybody walking on her while she cleaned the house up. So that's one way she could enter the house and exit the house, by walking through the building, through the door, the locked door itself. The Whiff house is the only one that made me scared, a little nervous, because it was my other people that told me about Miss Whiff, falling down the steps. And again, I don't know too much on that one. I know she said her husband was cheating on her, and she wanted to go to the palace to confront him, and she was jump out of bed and try to put her bedroom slippers on. And as you come out out of her bedroom, if you go straight and turn right, that take you straight down the steps. And that's where she tried to get her bedroom slippers on and fell down the steps and broke her neck, died. And every night they said she'd come back trying to find her bedroom slippers. So I think it's a repeated thing every night. At around about 12, she'd come back, between 12 and 1, to come back to look for her bedroom slippers. And during that time, a lot of the security officers did not go in any of those buildings until after a certain time, based on the story we've been hearing from other people who work for Colonial Williamsburg. And we got a call one night on the phone that they were locked inside the basement of the Whiff house. And we wonder how can anyone lock them in the basement, because you locked the door from the inside. And they had keys with them. And when we got there, they were locked in the basement. But you go in the back door, and to the right of the back door, go down in the basement. That's where the little office was, where they sat in. And they were locked in the basement. And we opened the door up, and there was 3 or 4 of them in the basement. And all of them said they know that basement door wasn't locked. When they went down, they had no reason to lock the basement door, because the outside door was locked. And it was like 12, 11 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night when they went in and cleaned the building. But they couldn't get out until one of the security officers came over and unlocked the door for them. And that's when they left out the building. When I was in the brush house, in the Peyton Randolph House, I'm not a scared person. I stand 6'5" and a half. I weigh, during that time, I guess I weighed about 250, 260. And like again, I'm not a scared person, but that particular night, I was scared. And to me to be scared, it had to be something out of the ordinary to get me that way. And I never want to repeat that experience again, because it took a lot out of me. I couldn't even talk about it for a while. Especially when the lieutenant would ask me questions, I would look at him like he was crazy, like why would he want to know? I just want to forget about it. But it was something we had to talk about. But it was one of those nights that I don't ever want to repeat again. And it's not a Colonial Williamsburg historical town house, one of the houses over there, especially the Fresh Road House, the Peyton Randolph House, the Whiff House, any of those houses that have any type of story behind them. No house that will get a particular part of you away from your body, whatever you want to call it, your soul. You feel like something, you can't really explain it, what happened to you that night. You had to experience the feeling in order to experience what I experienced. So if you want to experience, go to the house and you get the feeling.